Guys, welcome to OnPoint Quarantine. Today, just real quick, we want to give you a quick intro. We've got an interview with Pastor Davis, and so I'm really excited about that. And we talk about kind of the aftermath of Easter and what now? What do we do now? So I'm not going to talk about that. I'll let Pastor Davis talk about that. I do want to push you guys to the website bumsey.net/media. If you guys have not been watching the digital discipleship videos that the church has been putting out during this quarantine time, I hope you will check those out because there's some really good stuff in there. And so I want to push you to that, and I just hope you guys enjoy this conversation with Davis. I think this is going to be the first in a series of interviews, so you don't have to just listen to me every week. So I hope that'll be good. Gray, you say hi? You say hi? No? You say hi? Look, you are. Say hi, guys. Say hey, Point Men. All right. Well, this is the realities of working from home. So, love you all. Talk to you all soon. Bye. All right. Well, we are here with this edition of OnPoint Quarantine, is what we're calling it, Davis. Thank you for joining us. I know the guys will be excited to hear from you. We're in this time. I'm looking at my notes here. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
We're in this time here. Easter has just ended, and I don't know if it's like this for you. You probably not, because you've been the pastor everywhere you've been. But at a lot of the churches where I've been, you have this big build up to Easter, right? You have Lent. Really the whole year is building towards Easter, our most holy day.
Right.
And then you get to Easter and it's over. You've had this big celebration. You've taken all your pictures. You've had everything fancy at the church is done, and then it's just it's back to normal a little bit. It's weird, right? And I guess my question is, what now? What do we do now that Easter is over?
Well, first of all, Herschel, it's really good to be with you and good to be with the men from OnPoint too. So your question is a good question, and I think that's true typically, that can happen. We joke about it sometimes that after Easter, when it gets warm and the sun's out, it's almost like, okay, graduation just happened, and we don't see as many people in the next few weeks as we lead into commencement in summer. That's the normal routine, unfortunately, but we're at a point now where nothing's normal. Everything, the whole context has changed. And we were discussing this yesterday in a meeting. And it's not just sort of Brentwood's context, it's a global context that there is no normal right now.
Right.
And so, we didn't have but 10 or 12 people in the church building on Easter Sunday. And yet we had close to 40,000 people online.
Holy cow.
That were with us. And so, that was kind of a shocker to us all, a good shocker. We were pleasantly surprised by that. But so there is no normal. And what's interesting to me, and this is Easterish, what I'm getting ready to say, this is resurrection stuff that I'm getting ready to say. We had fewer people on Easter Sunday in that sanctuary than ever before, but we had that many people, 40,000 people who were worshiping with us in some form or fashion. So to me, that's an Easter message that in the midst of empty, there's this abundance. And what's actually happened at Brentwood is, in the midst of a crisis, a pandemic, God, and this is just what God does, he expands our witness in ways that we would never have imagined. Really, that's our story. That's the empty tomb story, that what happened on Easter Day changed history. And in ways that we could not have imagined. Now, having said that, it is true that oftentimes we see Easter like confirmation, like it's the end of something. When in fact, it's the beginning.
Right.
It's the jumping off point. This is the icing on the cake of the church of, if for this life only, Paul said, we have hoped, we're to be pitied more than anybody. And so Easter's not a day, it's a season. Resurrection is a way of life. It's not just a day. a family day, although it is that. Um, but so what's interesting now is we're going into a whole series on the fruit of the Spirit. And um, as we were in John's gospel last week, the latter scenes of resurrection in John's gospel, you remember how Jesus appears to the disciples behind locked doors. He
Mm-hmm.
shows them his scars, and then it says he breathes on them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that breath means wind or spirit. And what's happening is in the resurrection, he's imparting his spirit
Right.
to them. So in John's gospel, it's like crucifixion, resurrection, ascension, Pentecost is all a part of one movement. And so I think that's perfect timing then to go into the fruit of the Spirit. What does it mean to embody the
Yeah.
Holy Spirit in ways like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness? What does it mean to embody the behavior of Christ, which the Holy Spirit is the risen Christ within us?
Right.
So organically, what's inside of you comes out. And I think this is a really interesting way to celebrate the continued season of Easter by thinking about what it means for the Spirit to indwell within us. And then what does that look like in the way that we conduct ourselves in terms of, Wesley called them affections or tempers,
Mm-hmm.
love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness. I also think that as we move towards reentry in some form or fashion, that chances are we're going to need this fruit a
Yeah.
lot.
Oh, yeah.
We need a lot of patience, a lot of kindness and gentleness as we move forward. Um, so my hope is that this will be sort of thematic to us as we uh, go into the Easter season, having celebrated in an abnormal way,
Mm-hmm.
that we want to continue to be abnormal in the way that we live in different ways that sort of give that personify the indwelling of Christ's Spirit within us.
Yeah, I love that. Um, I was watching your digital discipleship video with Allison, and I loved what you said when you said people always ask you, how do you know that it's true, or why do you believe that it's true? And you say it's because of the disciples' actions after the resurrection, that they were one way, and then the resurrection happens and they completely change.
Yes.
It's like you
Yeah.
said, it's that spirit coming into them and giving them the boldness to live that out. And that is such a fundamental change. And I wonder, what are maybe 2 or 3 practical things that we can do to keep that going and to keep that Easter momentum and to bring that
Yeah.
spirit into
A
our
good
life?
point. I mean, it reminds me that your first place of ministry is in your own home.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
at home now in my home office, and I'll be Zooming most of the day. But my first ministry is to my own wife in my own home, in sort of doing life together with her. So the opportunities to actually do that at home are first and foremost. The second way is, we were discussing this yesterday, that as we're going through the 9 fruits of the Spirit in the next 2.5 months, wouldn't it be cool if we ask people each day, call 9 people today,
Mm,
and this week, do share something in a loving way. The next week, call someone who's had some anxiety and share the peace of Christ, love, joy, peace, patience. Every week or every day, wouldn't it be cool to call 9 people,
yeah.
or text or email, just communicate with 9 people in ways that demonstrate the indwelling of Christ within you, that gets at this idea, which is in Galatians, that the summary of our faith is to love our neighbor as ourselves. Um, and so we've been thinking about that. Wouldn't it be great if we all agreed, if 8,000 people agreed that we're going to call 9 people every day?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
the math on that, and you can continue to see how your witness, your influence, your faith can expand and touch other people. That's one way to do it. Beginning at home with your family. If you live alone, making sure you make those calls, and that you're doing something for somebody else,
Mm,
and not just sort of focusing on me and mine right here.
yeah.
So that's the way. There's a lot of ways to contribute to. We were discussing this in a meeting earlier this morning, from Healing Housing to Harvest Hands to Legacy Village, that these are places that need a little extra a few extra bucks now and then. And so there's some ways to contribute to people who are experiencing deep, deep needs
Oh,
right
yeah.
now, particularly with the unemployment that is now north of 16 million. Um, those are groups that are really hurting and
Yeah.
need care. So I think contributing that way and staying in connection and communication with people. Some of the ways to do that too is, I was telling somebody the other day, sometimes I'll just pray to God and say, Lord, bring to my mind, if you will, today, someone who needs a touch,
Mm.
someone who needs encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of me just searching through the list, just bring that to mind sometime today. And invariably, the Spirit will do that. And you just jot that name down. And then when you get a minute, you make that call. So I think that's a way to intercede too. Ask God to bring to your mind
Right.
those people who need you and who need a touch from you.
Well, and that's such a good reminder too, because I think some often people think that intercession has to be this big production, and really it's
Right.
just, you're driving in your car and you see somebody, or you think of somebody, you're like, Lord, just bless them, just be with them, and it can be just as simple as that. And I think
Agreed.
that's such a great reminder for that.
Richard Foster used to call those flash prayers, and I love
Yeah.
that. That you just see someone and you pray, and they may not even know it, but God can use that intercession in a pretty cool way. I
Yeah,
agree
I
with you.
always thought about that verse, pray without ceasing. And that was always my way of doing it. It was just those little bits throughout the day, never,
Yes.
never anything big. And I remember I had a pastor growing up. He was actually the guy who led our confirmation class. And he said, you can always tell somebody who doesn't pray when they have a long prayer at the dinner table. So,
That's really good.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
unceasing doesn't necessarily mean on your knees. You can do it on your feet too. So
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
good.
Um, One more question before we get to our lightning round, if you don't mind. Um, you know, like you said, this is abnormal times. This is weird. Everybody is kind of trying to cope in their own way and do their own thing. And I was just wondering, what is personally like keeping you going these days?
Mm. Several things, I think. I think I'm pretty blessed in that I still get to worship
Mm-hmm.
and to help lead worship. Even if there's only 2 of us or 10 of us in there, we feel very blessed that we have the opportunity to do that. Um, I told somebody yesterday, through this pandemic, in my study time, I just have felt like the scriptures just jumping off the page.
Mm.
And I don't know why that is. It's just like, I guess God has a captive audience right now in some
Mm-hmm.
of us, in all of us. And so using that time, using the quarantine as almost a means of fasting from all of the distractions that we have. Um, I'm an early riser, so I mean that period of time between 4 and 7 in the morning is pretty special to be alone with God. There's no texting, there's no phone, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
And having that time, of course, you have to have the sacrament. You have to have a cup of coffee with
Oh
you
yes.
at all times in the
Oh
morning.
yes.
But those morning study times and devotion times have just been awesome. Um, and then, having some time at night with my wife, preparing meal together.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, who does that? Not many people do that.
Oh yeah.
But just preparing, going through a meal, cleaning up together, watching maybe a movie now and then together. We've been taking advantage of some of that time. I have to get outside too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
walk a little bit outdoors. My park is closed. Radnor is
Mm-hmm.
closed, so I've found another field to walk in. Um, but I think between being outdoors, being with my wife, and also this Zooming business. I mean, being on Zoom with people. I've been on Zoom with as many as 50 people and as few as 1 or 2,
Yep.
and it's not in person, but being able to see your face and hear your voice is a pretty awesome thing. So staying in touch with people,
Mm-hmm.
getting more in touch with my wife, and being able to spend a little time at night with her is really awesome. And then that study time um, has just been such a blessing.
That's awesome. I see you see so many people joking on Facebook, like you're going to see so many divorces come out of this, or so many babies, or whatever. And it's been weird. Like I wondered how it would be being at home with the boys all the time and being home with Lee all the time, and there being no like, distance or whatever, and wondered how if it would be difficult or whatever. And it's been so good. It's been like the bonding time we've gotten with the boys, the bonding time Lee and I have gotten, like the week. I mean, I just feel like it's been great, like you said, like to have that time to connect as a family. um you know we're really bad about, we're always going, Lee's got youth group stuff or whatever it may be, we've always got stuff going on, and so we're really bad about not eating at the table. And so we've been like very intentional about just sitting down at the table, turning everything else off. And Lee has done this really cool thing where she's like, all right, Sellers, what made you happy today?
Oh,
What are you thankful for today? And it's been so great to see that, like, kind of bring out some life out of him too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's been what's keeping
Hey,
us going here.
I've wondered about that too, about the domestic issues that can come out of this. On the other hand, I've wondered if maybe next January or February, we're not going to have a bunch of babies named
Oh
Uncle.
yeah. Oh yeah.
uh, but, of course, this is not a problem as much for you as it would be for me. I need a haircut really bad.
Oh well, see, I made Lee cut my hair yesterday because it was getting
Okay.
way out of control for my taste. And I was like, I got
Well,
my clippers out and I said, you gotta cut my hair. I can't take it anymore.
I was joking with somebody yesterday saying I've been quarantined so much with my wife. I'm not sure I trust her with a pair of scissors right now. So, uh,
That's
at
funny.
any rate, you find out what you can do without.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Something like this gives perspective of what's really important in life. And I've been saying this off and on. Like 6 weeks ago, the stuff that was stressing me out, it's not relevant right now.
Yep.
And sometimes that's I guess the surprise or the benefit of a crisis moment is, what can you do in this moment that you would not have done otherwise? And how can God use that season in ways that you would not have done before, that you could take advantage of now? And that doesn't make it easier, but it does make it more meaningful.
Yep. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I've got a couple quick questions I want to call our lightning round. These are just kind of fun questions to get to know you better a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
So you ready?
ready.
All right. Number one, favorite movie.
Favorite movie right now would have to be A River Runs Through It.
Oh, that's like my second favorite movie of all time. It was number one, but it's slipped down to number two just recently. But
Yeah,
I do love that movie. That I can watch it anytime it's on.
I love it too.
Um, if you weren't a pastor, what would be your career?
I would probably be a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist.
Okay.
That was major in college.
Okay. Did you have a nickname growing up? And if so, what is it, if you're willing to share it?
I will. In fact, I found somebody in our church that had the same nickname. My dad used to call me Big D.
Big D. Okay. Um, what's a place in the world that you've always wanted to visit, but you haven't made it to yet?
Um, I really want to go to Alaska.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not. I've been a lot of places in the world, but I've yet to go to Alaska, and I really am wanting to do that at some point.
That sounds like a good OnPoint Men trip that we could take. Let's
Oh yeah, what
plan that
about you?
for me. I mean, I would love to go to the Holy Land. I've yet to be to the Holy Land. I think my biggest regret from seminary. They always took trips with the professors, and I could have just done it and added it onto my student loans that I'm going to be paying for the rest of my life anyway, and it would have been what, $3 extra onto my student loans now that I think about it. But um, yeah, I wish I would have done that, and that's a place I've always wanted to go and still want to go.
So Herschel, I've been and going again in March, but here's something in addition that I'd like to do. And I've dreamed of this since I found it. Above Galilee, between Galilee and Caesarea Philippi, there's the Trail of Jesus. They call it the Trail of Jesus, where he used to walk with his disciples. It's about 20 miles actually, and there's a 3-day walk you can do where you stop along the way and you can spend the nights and eat, that just follows the very trail of Jesus that he and his disciples often walk.
I
That
mean,
is
that would be
also,
awesome. Yeah.
that would be incredible to me
Yeah.
to someday.
I mean, I think the one place I want to see the most over there is the Garden of Gethsemane. And I don't know if, I mean, is it there? Can you even see it? Like, is
Oh,
that,
yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
if it was like built on, if people had built over it or,
Well, there's a church on it now, but still,
yeah.
it's pretty special. Yeah.
Um, Favorite restaurant in the Metro Nashville area?
Favorite restaurant. I really like Amerigo's.
Okay.
I like Sperry's. And
I've
then
never
I've
been to
only been
Sperry's.
once, but there's a restaurant downtown called Husk
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
that is a special occasion type
Oh
restaurant.
yes.
I've been once, and I said that's the best restaurant in terms of the artsy food in Nashville.
Oh yeah. We went there. Before I was working at the church, my job had given us a gift card to Husk as like a Christmas bonus or whatever. And we went there, and it was a $200 gift card. And I was like, "Oh, well, wait, Lee and I could go a couple times." And then we got the bill. It's like, "Oh, nope, this is the only time we're going." This is it.
Yeah, you can't go there very often for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last question I have for you is: have you picked up any new hobbies during this time at home, and if so, what?
That's a good question. I won't say a new hobby. Sherry and I have been using some of this time as a fast.
Okay.
And that's also been very helpful spiritually because I've been much more attentive to the Spirit. I've felt like I'm a little bit more in tune with God. And I haven't done a lot of that in my life. I've done it from time to time. And when I do it, I've always found it to be a discerning moment. So it just occurred to me, a couple of weeks ago, this would be a good time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really made me much more attentive to some things I need to be attentive to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know the guys will really appreciate it hearing from you, and I guess we'll be looking forward to this Fruit of the Spirit series. So thank you so much.
Good. I look forward to seeing everybody through the camera.
All right. Well, have a good day.
Thanks, Herschel. Take care.